So I think we'll spread out the questions in the interest of bringing out diversity of opinion. If the mic would be given to the lady in the third seat here. Yeah, here. Can the mic be given to
Hello? Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
Who is this? Where are you?
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, I will take only 45 seconds, okay?
Question is 45 seconds. Why?
I won't disturb anyone because there are many a person want to
really
question.
sorry, but like, could we go ahead and, I mean, he
Okay,
chose
okay.
somebody first. Let's go with him.
Yeah,
Sadhguru,
can the mic be given to the lady in the third seat?
can I ask a question first?
You should ask. You're going about giving a speech. Huh?
Sir, I just want to say, you are just my life, okay?
No, this is not a
Okay, sir,
romantic
my question.
expression. Please ask
Okay,
the question.
my question is, sir, you told in your childhood you experienced the realization of ignorance. Some point when I watch your video, I also felt that I don't know really nothing. Nothing means nothing. But after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I get influenced by my mind or something like that, and I lose that realization. I want to live like that. I want to live that. I want to live like the realization that I don't know.
Right.
From that realization, my intelligence just becomes pure, and I can look at everything.
That's fine. See, just intellectually thinking I do not know is not the point. You must know the pain of not knowing. The pain of not knowing should sear through you. Only then your intelligence becomes awake. See, just look at this. Suppose I ask you to walk from here to there right now. Lights are on and you will simply walk like this without noticing anything. Suppose we make this hall pitch dark, you don't know what is next step. Will you walk? Everything alert, all your senses, intelligence, awareness, everything super alert, simply because you do not know where the next step is. So, I do not know is not an intellectual conclusion. It is the pain of not knowing. It must really sear through you, it won't let you sleep, it won't let you eat, it will keep you in a certain way. When it keeps you in that way, then you will see your intelligence stays awake and alert. In sleep and in wakefulness, it stays alert. When that happens, see, just now we finished Ganesh Chaturthi. What Ganesh Chaturthi means is, it's all become all about eating now. We've made it like that because we only see Ganesha's big stomach these days and we are inspired by that. Essentially, you know the story of what happened, that little boy stopped Shiva and Shiva decided to take off the head of a Gana. A Gana means, Ganas are described this way, that they were talking in a language that nobody understood and they had limbs which had no bones. Like this it's described in the certain texts. So he took off one of their heads or the chief of the Gana and put it on this boy and made him live with this new head. So he had this new head which is not a human head. Because of this, he was extraordinarily intelligent. You heard of those stories where he asked Vyasa that if you dictate something to me, you should not stop. If you stop, I will give up this stupid project and go. If you don't know what you're talking, I'm not going to write down. You must simply speak without a break, only then I will write down. So essentially, Ganesha had enormous… he's Ganesha, not Gajesha, okay? The elephant head came because of Shivakashi calendars. So he's a Ganapati and he has an extraordinary head and an intelligence. Because of this intelligence, he cleared all obstacles. So he became Vigneshwara. So our interest is that in him, that if we have intelligence like this, we will remove all obstacles in our lives. This is the fundamental and the phenomena of Ganesha is just this, that if your intelligence is always on, you simply dissolve all obstacles in your life. So he is a Vigneshwara. But on that day, most people are usually only boosting their belly, not their brain. What it means is you need a new head.
So, Angad has already chosen, so if you could give… and then we'll move on to Joe, because Joe, I mean, some people there also, because he's been raising his hands in some time.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
First here.
Many people say that thoughts create karma, and sometimes our biggest fears keep on recurring in our minds on a daily basis. So how do we stop that flow of thoughts, and how do we stop those fears from materializing, and also how to cut down on unwanted karma?
Whoa. See, this whole karma business has been very misunderstood and been projected as a fatalistic process. Karma means this, karma means action. Literally translates as action. As you sit here, there is physical activity going on, there is mental activity going on, there's emotional activity going on, there's energy activity going on. These four dimensions of karma are happening within you every moment of your life, both in wakefulness and in sleep, it's happening. Now if I ask you a question, since today morning, since you woke up to this moment, how much of these four dimensions of karma are you conducting consciously? How much do you think? Percentage? Well below 1%, believe me. It's way below 1%. When 1% of your life, let us say, is conducted consciously and 99% accidentally, you must be shit scared of life. How else to live? If you're driving a car and 99% it is accidental the way you're driving, will you be scared or not? So fear is a consequence of your inability to manage the nature of your intellect. See, your life's experience is happening this way. These are three dimensions. There is something called as memory, which feeds you all the time. Memory is not just what you remember. You don't remember 10 generations ago how your great-grandmother looked, do you? You don't, but her nose is sitting on your face, yes or no? You have genetic memory, you have evolutionary memory, you have karmic memory, articulate and inarticulate levels of memory. This entire thing is memory, head to toe. Every cell in the body is memory, isn't it? We can take one cell and create the whole of you, and that's how your parents also did. Just one cell, and see, you become like this. So, there is enormous amount of memory in this. This memory rules certain things. But there is a present experience. Memory is of the past, but the present is of experience, your ability to experience. If you want to experience anything, you must be conscious, you must be aware, only then you can experience. The future is an imagination. So memory, experience and imagination, it is between these three dimensions in which you exist. Memory you cannot change because it's already there. Present you don't have to change because that is also here right now. It's only the imagination which you can change. So what are you fearful about? Something that will happen or you think will happen, isn't it? Fear is always about something which does not exist right now, it's always about what will happen. So you are suffering that which does not exist. If you're suffering that which does not exist, there are psychiatric terms for that. Hello? Your only comfort is everybody is in the same state. That's how it is in asylum usually. Everybody is in the same condition. But right now people are in this condition, what happened 10 years ago they can still suffer, what may happen day after tomorrow they already suffer. They're suffering things which does not exist, simply because in your education system, you are studying about everything except how to manage this. If you do not know how to manage this, it doesn't matter how much nonsensical information you have gathered, it'll be not of much use to your life. You must know how to keep this, how to conduct this body, how to conduct this mind, how to conduct this emotional structure and the energy structure. If you do not know anything about this, then you are an accidental being. You being fearful is good, otherwise you may cause enormous harm to yourself.
The next person, if I'm not wrong, was Joe, so he'll be…
You got everything set, huh?
Hello, Jaggi Vasudev sir. Before I ask my question, I just have to tell you that I was very impressed by your e-commerce website, which sells yoga merchandise. I think it's really cool. It's better than Flipkart and Amazon, and I hope that, you know, in a few years' time, it will become the biggest e-commerce company and it could be…
Yeah. It's a conscious decision I've taken that our commerce part is done just to take care of a few things, our commerce will never grow beyond the foundation part. I clearly made the distinction, there's Isha Foundation and there's Isha Business. And we have contained the business. In spite of enormous demand, we have contained the business because…
So it's very impressive, sir.
No, you should not be impressed by that. You must come and see what I do otherwise.
So,
The real thing.
my question, I want to tell you that I was also very impressed by your commitment to rule of law that was evident from the discussions that we've had. In the same light, I just want to ask you that in one of the blogs that you have written in your website, you speak about women's entry to Shani temples. And there you say that, look, the reason why they shouldn't be allowed is because there are planetary forces and it's not good for women to enter these temples. In the same vein, I just want to tell you a little bit about the law on the point. There are Supreme Court judgments which say that if you make laws which tend to be discriminatory for women, it cannot be a justification that we are doing it for their benefit. That cannot be the justification for any law that discriminates against women. This is the law of the land. In that same vein, would you say that if that is the law of the land and you're committed to the ideals of law, then one, how do you justify that?
Yes.
And two, one more question, sir.
Let me say…
So just a follow-up question. The second part of the question is, in the same article, you also mentioned that we can control the impact of planetary forces on our life through inner engineering. What is inner engineering? Is it a program that Isha Foundation hands out?
What is?
What exactly is inner engineering? Is it something that you guys do and like only if you guys can tell us what is inner engineering, only then will we be able to, face the forces of planetary forces? What exactly is this concept of inner engineering?
Okay. We'll answer that. So right now, why don't you ask this institution, Nalsar, only if you tell us what is law, we will know what's the law? What is it?
I'm sorry, sir, could you clarify that? I didn't get what you just said. Like,
No. You tell your institution in which you are, only if you trap us here for 5 years and tell us what is the law, will we understand what is the law? Don't we know? Well, only because you do not know, you have come here, right, to learn. Similarly, only because people could not figure it out by themselves, they have come. And only because it's working for them, they're coming in millions. Okay, you have 700 people here, we have 9 million volunteers working across the world. So, it must be working for them. So do not make these judgments and don't think it's very smart to simply make judgments for everything. You are a lawyer, you are not a judge, all right? So let's come to the question. See, please don't do these things. It is happening from both segments of people. What you like, you shout and clap, please don't do that. For or against, that's not the way. The way to do this is, are we interested in knowing and enhancing? You ask a question as a way to enhance your knowing, not just to prove that you're smart. If you think you can prove you're smart, we will do something else to that. Anyway, you ask this question, I like the e-commerce, I know when you started off, I know when Joe is called, why he is called, we know what it is, I'm not that dumb, okay? When I sit here, when I just look at you, I know what you can ask, I will tell you. Let me tell you this, hello. When I trained teachers to handle engineering programs, now we have transformed the program in a different way, but at one time when it was very intense, I trained the teachers like this. Somebody walks into the hall, they settle down here today by themselves without being guided. You just see, I made a chart of the hall and said, see, if they sit here, if they sit here, if they sit here, this is the question they will ask. You just be ready. When he raises his question, you know this is what he will ask. 93 to 94% of the time, it's always right like that. People think they are free and they're asking questions. But if they sit in that place, that's a question they will ask. In any venue, not in any particular venue, just anywhere. This may not look logical to you, but life happens like that anyway. So, now when you start praising the e-commerce, I know why it is, it's not that you're appreciating it. I'm telling you, Isha Foundation is a foundation run by the volunteers. over 4,600 full-time volunteers who are far more educated than you are, and over 9 million part-time volunteers across the world, giving their time and money and energy to make this happen. Why are people doing this? We are not promising them we'll take you to heaven. We are not telling you you will go and sit in God's lap. Why are they doing it? It must be done wonders to them, otherwise why will they invest their life in it? So without knowing anything, don't make conclusions. So are you the only one? Well, you can do it in so many other ways. If you knew how to figure it out, why would I be needed? You do not know how to figure it out, so somebody comes and helps. If somebody comes and helps, why are you helping people? You leave them with their problems, they'll be good business for a lawyer? Is that what you're talking to me? Please don't feed upon people's problems. People have problems. If you have a solution, it's good. If you don't have a solution, at least leave them alone. Now, about commerce, we have every day in the yoga center, the minimum meal is around 7,000 people per meal. On the weekends, it's 15 to 20,000. Whoever comes, nobody inquires, who are you, why are you eating here? Whoever comes, they're welcomed and they're fed, all right? And we are running 12 schools in remotest parts of India, which is the same level of education that one would get in a good urban school, and 40% of the children are first generation going to school. Over 9,000 children are sponsored fully for their entire education. And we have medical activity going on across Tamil Nadu in a big way. There are many other aspects which I don't want to go on listing. For all this to happen, it needs a certain financial thing. Now if I come to you with a begging bowl, you will say, why have you come to me with a begging bowl? If I earn my own money, you are saying, why are you earning your own money? What is the problem here? What is the problem? Only thing is, I have not come to you as a client. Is that the only problem you have? I want you to know, the people who are working in the foundation, most of them, some of them are here, they're doctors, engineers, accountants. They have quit top, high-paying jobs in their life and they're serving for free, all right? Thousands of them. And you have something against them, please. It's not about me because I don't do all that work. People are doing all that work, including the website and the commerce.
So just for the diversity of opinion, so that, as a moderator, I have to ask people from…
Oh, women's rights, yes. About Shani Signapur. See, first of all, you have a misunderstanding that Indian temple is a place of prayer. Indian temple is not a place of prayer. I want you to know this. Different temples were built in different ways for specific purposes. Shani temple is built for occult purposes. Occult means, you know what's occult? What is the Telugu word for occult? What? What is that? What people call as black magic or whatever, you know? There are certain occult practices where if the occult practices are being done, women in state of pregnancy, in menstrual cycles, it could seriously impact their life. So they said women should not go. It was also designed that on a certain day, if the woman is in a certain condition, on a full moon day she can go, other days… These are prescriptions, these are not restrictions. These are prescriptions, these are not discriminations. These are done with a specific intent. Or, now that you're talking about women's rights, why don't you fight for the men's rights? In our temple, the Bhairavi temple that we have, men are not allowed inside the sanctum. Why don't you stand up and fight for that? I will tell you why they're not allowed. That temple is only for the women. Men are not allowed. Why? Is it a discrimination? It is not about discrimination, it is a certain dimension of life. If you go by this crude sense of equality, you will harm the woman immensely. There are millions of temples open to everybody. Suddenly, why discrimination will come in one temple? What are you talking about? This is not a culture which discriminated against women. There are more female deities in this country than male deities. Every village you go, there is an Amman temple, there is a Devi temple. And you think it's discrimination?
Before
These
moving
are
on,
these are very rudimentary ideas picked up from the West. You have not seen this culture, you have not understood the profoundness with which is run. Unfortunately, because of 15, 20 generations of poverty, we've kind of mixed it up and made a mess out of it. That is a different matter.
So before I move on to another person, and he'll probably be the last person, before I move on to you, are the people there done with that particular question, or is there any further question on that particular issue? I mean, for diversity of opinion, I need to choose somebody from here. So I mean, unless you don't have a further point on the same issue, I'll proceed. So, could somebody please give him the mic?
Namaskaram, sadhguru.
So yeah, so if Job has a follow-up, then please proceed.
So this
I can't help it. I mean, if he's not satisfied with the same issue, he should be.
this crude sense of knowledge that you're talking about is the knowledge that's coming from the Supreme Court of the country.
Who is speaking? Huh?
So this crude sense of knowledge that you say is the knowledge that's coming from the Supreme Court of the country.
No, please
You
understand.
are
No, please
you are,
listen to me.
Sir, you're still not addressing the point that who are you and I sitting here to make prescriptions for women and say that this is harmful for you, hence don't do it, or this is not harmful and you shouldn't do it. It's not up for you and I to do it. If it's harmful and they still want to do it, they are free to do it, right? I mean, you say that what people want to do in their bedroom, it's an individual choice. If women want to enter it, they want to enter it. Who are us to stop it?
You ask a question, please. You please ask a question. I'm not that dumb that a question needs to be explained to me. You ask a question.
You didn't answer it the first time, hence I'm explaining.
Okay,
Job,
you asked a question
so-
again. Let me answer this, right? The question is, who are you to tell the ladies whether they should go to this or not?
No, I'm saying they should have the option. I'm saying they should have the
Alright.
option.
So I mean,
got
just
it.
to give a similar example, sir, alcohol
I got
might
it.
be. Oh, sorry.
I got it. There are hundreds of temples in the country where men cannot enter. So if men say…
There's a history of discrimination
that is a different matter. See, you're mixing up two things. There
not
is
the same.
unfortunate history of discrimination on all levels. That's a different matter. That has to be settled in a different way. But when a specific aspect comes, if you want to rule out all the subtler aspects of life and just say this is it. Anyway, let me tell you this. This I'm on camera, let me tell you this, okay? Supreme Court is there to interpret the Constitution. It cannot create a new Constitution. Doesn't matter what are the powers of the court. It cannot create a new Constitution. It is only there to interpret the law the way it is. Am I right? You're all lawyers? Hello?
That's debatable. That's debatable.
When you debate that, there is going to be lots of problems because every pressure point, people will apply. Every motivated group will push for their own laws. If you create enough ruckus, some new law will happen. This should not happen. It is essentially within the framework of the Constitution, everything should happen. In the framework of the Constitution, there are laws where there are public places and there are private temples and private places of worship. How it should be done there is left to them. It is for them to decide how it happens. Is it happening simply because of a discrimination against a gender? If it is so, it must be struck down absolutely. But if there are other aspects to it, if you think you cannot consider anything else, then it's ridiculous. It becomes ridiculous. It's like saying, don't I have the right to enter the ladies' toilet? What nonsense is this? Do you need a law? You just need sense that you don't go there.
Job, is your question answered? Like, or should
No,
I?
it's not answered, but that's
Then-
okay.
It's not answered. Shall we answer, Mr. Joe?
Okay, so
I'm okay.
There's a difference between a man not allowed to enter a woman's toilet and you using the same
See,
analogy.
I'm not saying he's not allowed. A
No.
man who is a man will not enter. That's all I
So
said.
that's a really
I think
stupid
we
analogy
can
that you're saying.
So,
we are discussing the question of women's entry to temple,
So
and you're
just one
saying the
second,
reason why
I'm
they're
sorry to
not
stop
allowed.
you.
One second,
So,
Subbu.
I'm
Please,
sorry, so
sir.
you can continue with your
The
question.
problem, sir, Mr. Joe, you do not know the culture of this nation. You're talking simply activism
Yeah,
without
because-
knowing the
because I'm
culture of
Catholic,
this
right?
nation. Because in this country, in this culture, The idea of discrimination never arose. I want you to understand, even before other countries ever thought of even giving franchise to the woman, this country did not even debate whether women should have voting rights or not. It's simply there because in our culture we never thought so. So the discrimination, exploitation is there. I want you to understand, there is exploitation, there is no necessary discrimination. Exploitation is not just of the woman. Anybody who is weaker than you, people are exploiting, whether it's a man, woman or child. Why do you think everybody is beating the children? Just simply because they're small, not because they have a right to do it. So anything which is weaker than them, they're exploiting, not just women. Unfortunately, women have also been taken a much amount of beating in terms of exploitation. But do not misunderstand exploitation and discrimination in a fundamental way. Discrimination is a different aspect, exploitation is a different aspect.
I think, Job, we can agree to disagree here and let's move on. There's one last question we'll be picking up. Yeah,
Fine, so for the diversity of opinion,
so
there's
we'll
somebody
pick on
that
from the
group.
back there. Can the mic be given to him? Okay, so
there's somebody
can you
from another
take
group
and then
who
one
will
last
take-
question on the back?
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon. Society is celebrating legalization of homosexuality when it can't even accept intercaste marriages.
What?
Society is celebrating legalization of homosexuality when it can't even accept intercaste marriages.
See, the thing is… I got it.
Sadhguru,
Yes.
being a science student, I have a small question.
No, let's finish this.
No, just something.
I thought one person, one question, I thought.
Can you please answer
Yeah, yeah.
one by one, so then there's no confusion.
To maintain, in this evolution, to maintain the genetic variability, the sex or marriage should happen between different groups of people and different communities. But due to this intercaste thing which is in our society, the marriages are happening between the same community, that is in the same caste people, which leads to the further species makes this…
We got the question.
Yeah,
please.
got it.
We got it.
And sir, you have done rally for Save for
No,
Rivers.
leave that, please.
Please do remove this intercaste technique in this society.
Okay. So, this is related to Joe's question, in a way, in the sense, see, we must understand this. Unfortunately, most human beings are in this condition. If they find somebody who are little weaker than them, they will see how to extract something out of them, how to dominate them, how to do these things. This is coming to you from your childhood, from your school, that you want to be number one, you want to be number one, parents are telling you this, everybody is telling you this. So always want to be on top of somebody. So with this, if a blacksmith thinks, a goldsmith thinks a blacksmith is inferior to him, unfortunately, though a blacksmith's work is more useful than a goldsmith's work for making of a society. So like this, simple professional differences, we have made it into horrible discriminations in this country because this is an ancient culture, lived in the same place for thousands of years, people learned how to organize their exploitation against each other. They managed to organize this. So in this context, we must understand, unless human beings evolve to a place that you do not exploit other people's weaknesses, discrimination will not go. You can talk as much as you want, it will not go. For thousands of years, it's not gone. One thing about the caste system is, it was basically a professional division which turned out to be a very discriminatory process over a period of time. Now largely this professional division is going away because people come, now we don't know what caste you are, it doesn't matter, you're becoming a lawyer, all right? You're not a vakil kind of caste system. You something and you're becoming a lawyer. Somebody can become an engineer. So, this transference of knowledge through family systems are gone, so in that context, caste has become irrelevant. Right now, the caste still exists much more strongly in the rural community than in the urban community because that is the only social security most people have. Something goes wrong with my life, I can only go back to my caste people. If I go to somebody, they're not going to help me. So this is unfortunately the social security system that they have, which is exploited again in so many different ways. Unless we develop a universal social security system in this country that every human being has a net to fall back on, caste will not go. Once the universal social security comes, you will see caste will naturally die a death. You don't even have to fight it, it'll just go away. Once this social security is there for the human being, the reason why it's gone in educated and well-to-do people is because they have their own security. They don't have to go back to their caste. But the poorer people in rural India, for them the only security is their caste, their clan. You can only go back to your mama or your somebody else or whatever else. You can't go to a strange person and ask for help. So we have to make the society where every human being feels secure in the country. Only then you can remove this, otherwise you cannot remove. People are thinking this is just based on discrimination. No, discrimination is coming because wherever somebody is weaker, somebody is exploiting them. This is not caste, this is not gender, wherever, whoever they can get, they will exploit, all right? Why women and children take the beating is because they're little physically weaker. That's the only reason. Not because they're against the women or against the children, simply because we have still not evolved out of this, that we will treat the strong and the weak the same way. This has not come into us. This will not come because you fight something. This has to come by evolving the society, by evolving individual human beings, otherwise it'll not happen.
Thank you for the answer, sir. So the team has been, the team has been literally signaling to us that we should have finished this about 10–15 minutes ago. That being said, there seem to be a lot of interested people who've been raising their hands up. If you're fine with some more questions, we can proceed. Otherwise, we can. It's completely your choice.
If you're okay, I'm okay, sir. You're the boss today.
No, so sir, it's your decision.
No,
sir,
you're the
because
moderator.
They have been signaling.
If you
to
say
us-
answer the questions, I will. If you say please leave, I will leave.
What we can do is we can take 3 final questions and then…
So I mean, from all three sides, like.
Can the mic be passed on to the back rows there?
Hello?
The back
Yeah,
rows there.
I will pass
the
it
left.
on once I'm done with my question.
Where's the mic?
Please speak now. Once you have the microphone, please ask
Hi.
the question.
Hello, Sadhguru. I'm Shrikari, and I'm running an NGO for underprivileged children right now. And I've sort of decided for myself that this is what I want to dedicate my life for, which is serving the society. So I have 3 questions for you. The first is, being a social entrepreneur yourself, how do you think I should prepare myself for the rest of my life to be dedicated to this cause? And second thing, you've mentioned a lot of issues, for example, malnutrition, and there is intolerance, and there is so many issues. So which issue do you think that our generation should target in order to get the best effect out of it? And thirdly, do you have any sort of program that can help our students who are doing this kind of an effort, because we don't have the kind of power or exposure to reach the kind of levels that you can?
If any of you have… Please sit down. If any of you have, as she said, if you have similar intentions, that you want to take up a social cause and make it happen, well, you asked me, which should we take it up? In my focus right now is nourishment, education, ecology. These are the 3 things which are crucial for this nation. If these 3 things happen, all the other problems will get sorted out by themselves. If you start attacking small problems which are in the country, which are plenty, not 1 or 2, they're in hundreds, small issues which we are picking up, believe me, you will not solve the problem. You will only have the satisfaction of fighting for something. Don't fight for something, we have enough fight going on. We've seen enough fights forever. It's important. This country must be well-nourished, fundamental education must happen, and ecologically we must take some quick steps, because this is an area which we cannot reverse very easily. It may take decades or even centuries sometimes to turn it back, depending upon the kind of damage we cause. These 3 dimensions, if we take care, all the other issues that you're mentioning, many other issues, small issues, I am not saying they're not important, But if you take up those causes right now, you will not have a good foundation, but you will build a superstructure which will anyway collapse after some time. So these are three fundamentals. If anybody who has such intentions, if you want, you come to us free of cost. We will train you for 1 or 2 or 3 months. Right now, we are… somebody mentioned Rally for Rivers. We are training hundreds of youth for over 6 months about the ecological aspect, how they can take it up in their own area, full depth and dimension of the problem and how they should handle it, how they should deal with the governments, they should deal with the people and the situation on the ground, how to manage this like this. So for these three aspects, if you're taking up nourishment or education or ecology, we can train you. Above all, if you're going into social activity, I've seen so many people, particularly Indians who are settled in United States, after working there for 10–15 years, when they've made a certain amount of money, quite a few of them get this urge, they want to come back to their village and do something. I'm telling you, almost 90% of them return absolutely frustrated, not able to doing anything, and lost their money, lost their job, this kind of situation. Simply because India is a complex thing to deal with. One has to be in a certain state of… first thing is to understand, another thing is how you are. If you are the kind who are going to get freaked and disturbed by everything happening negatively around you, then you should not get into it because they're going to freak the hell out of you on a daily basis. It doesn't matter how much work you do, you will only face abuse and accusations, and people will file cases against you, they will protest against you, all kinds of things. So it's very important you make yourself in such a way, what you want in your life, what you want to create, in which way you want to make a difference, that is more important than everything else. Every day volunteers who are working for us come up to me and say, Sadhguru, I can't work with this person is horrible, I can't do this. So I tell them, see, in this world, this is how people are. Like this, like that, like that, like that, this is how they are. If you think what you're doing is of such importance, you work with these people. If you want to work with ideal people, go to heaven and today. Yes.
So
you will have to work with all sorts of people, otherwise you can't do this.
Yeah, so the individual in the red t-shirt is being asked since some time, then we'll move to the right. That will be the last one, the one over here will be the last one.
So, Sadhguru, we have 2 questions.
One at a time, I'm a simple guy.
Yeah, so first I'll ask and then one more. So, firstly, you said that from your years of practice and looking at people, you can just look at somebody and tell their past, present and future. Now, we'd really appreciate it if you could look at me and tell my past and present. Anything.
No, I am not an astrologer for you.
No, astrologer would be somebody who sees the future. I'm asking you only to see my past and present.
Astrologers also talk about the past to get the market oriented, all right? I am not in that profession.
So when you say you're a mystic, what exactly do you mean? When your first answer to his question about first impressions was that you can see the past and the present, while all of us mortals over here won't be able to do the same thing. So then fulfill his claim that you can tell us about his past or his present. But notwithstanding that, my question is different. My question is that you've spoken about how you believe that like we must live in harmony with nature, etc. You told us that we've come here and we've taken over the land which belonged to snakes.
No, that is true everywhere. Huh?
Correct. Taking you to the question that…
I'm so sorry to stop you, sir, in case you're not comfortable answering that.
No, I'm okay with any question. All right.
So, a lot of the infrastructure
just make the question smaller and
30 seconds.
More.
A lot of the infrastructure
30 seconds is a long question. 5 seconds.
20 seconds. A lot of the infrastructure of the Isha Foundation has been built on elephant corridors,
Really?
something which both the National Green Tribunal as well as the High Courts have admitted to without the requisite permissions. We tell you this goes against rule of law, which you stand for. This goes against living in harmony with species, both of which you've spoken right here at Nalsar. So if you could clarify regarding that.
Okay. There is a fan following for that also. So right now, all of you, those of you who are clapping and screaming, listen to me. You also, ma'am. What's your name? Huh? Sanchita? Ankita. Okay. Now we'll do one thing. I don't know what authority you have to say it's an elephant corridor. Listen, let me finish. The State Forest Department clearly has submitted to the High Court that this is not an elephant corridor. The Wildlife Trust of India has given a clear directive to the NGT that it's not an elephant corridor. The World Wildlife Fund says it's not an elephant corridor. But you say it's an elephant corridor. I don't know what's your relationship with the elephants. Okay? If you do not understand, right now we put up the map published by the Wildlife Trust of India as to which are the elephant corridors and which are not. And elephant corridor is not anywhere in 100 kilometers of where we are. You can go look up the map today. Now, you can open up your cell phone and look it up now. So, being in a legal profession you're going to get into, first you must get your facts right, all right? And, well, I know where this is coming from. There are some activists who are going on publishing this endlessly. You're reading that social media is trash and you're coming to conclusions. Anyway, I want you to know, today if I want, by tomorrow evening, I can file 100 cases against you, all kinds of things. It's for you to come out of it in the next 20 years. This is the country you're living in, I want you to know. So, it doesn't matter, I will tell you further. For continuously, I've been accused of raising a rainforest. Which is that rainforest? Where was it? Please show it to me. There is no such forest, so they've kept quiet now because I asked these questions. Then they said, we have occupied forest lands. Well, Forest Department has senior forest officers from not only Tamil Nadu, from the center, came and surveyed the place and said not a little bit of encroachment has happened. But people keep writing the same thing. Now I'm asking you, if you're really interested in justice, you and your friends who are clapping for everything, I will ask you to come. 10, 15 of you come with cameras. I will give you all the maps, the survey maps and revenue maps and forest maps. You walk across, we'll give you total freedom to do the survey as you want, all right? If 1 inch, not 1 acre, 1 inch of forest land is taken, I have said this yesterday also, day before yesterday also, because I am surprised the same question is being asked, I will leave the country. You will not see me again. Is this good enough? Will you do it?
So we'll take one final question.
No, let me finish this, huh? This is a charge, this is not a question. Now, if one little bit is taken, forest land, you will never see me again, you will never hear me again, okay? I'll be gone.
Okay.
Well, wait. I will tell you the kind of activism that is happening there. Why? I'm sure many of you may be associated with this. I'm saying this on camera, it can be published, I don't care what, because I've reached a point where death threats are every day from these kind of people. Why all this is happening is, we are at the tri-junction of the 3 state borders. There are certain people who want to be active in the forest in that area, and we've become a big problem for them. They want us ousted from there. That's not going to happen in their lifetime, because it's not just for our interest. I want to make sure such activity doesn't happen in the forest. And we have fought for this, so we're getting all this flack. And for every little thing, without knowing facts, being future lawyers, you must have little more facts on your hand. This is not the way to go to a court, you know. This is not the way to go to a court. You must go with facts. If you are not looking at being a lawyer as just as a business, but as a way of serving people and bringing justice to people, this is not the way to go. I will tell you further. You've seen the image of Adi Yogi? Yes. A whole campaign has been made. They showed images of some forest and how the entire thing was raised to put up Adi Yogi statue. So we put out the Google Maps. Before we bought the land, how it was, how it is today. Today this technology, you can't go on lying forever. Once we put up the Google Maps, they became quiet. So Google Maps are of 2006. They said before that there was a forest. So I said, do one thing, from 1960s, okay, or before I was born, 1940s, you take the revenue map I will give you all the survey numbers in which we are. See what were the crops which were grown, for what taxes people have paid. Revenue records are there, Google Maps are there, you can't be just lying to yourself endlessly. And I will tell you how much prejudice is there. A certain group of people with government officials and a collector comes to visit the Adiyogi statue. One official, not a low-level official, a mid-level official, says they have built a factory shed without permission. So collector asks, where is the factory shed? He points at Adiyogi and says, this is the factory shed. He's surprised, is this a factory shed you are saying? This is a monument? They've taken permission for a monument. No, in my opinion, this is a factory shed. Inside there are metal members and outside there is a metal skin, so it is a factory shed. Tell me, who will call the image of… there is an image of Adiyogi, can you put it up? Who will call this a factory shed? Please look it up. Please look it up on the website. You look at the Adiyogi, it is on the Guinness record for the largest face on the planet. And now somebody describes this as a factory shed and wants to file a case on us. I want you to know who is this person who calls Adiyogi a factory shed and what is the intention and what is the purpose of such a comment. Who they are and what they are motivated by. You must look at it. Yes or no? Please look at it. And I'm telling you, the reason all this has started is because of the tri-junction. One mistake we have done, if it's a mistake, I don't think it's a mistake personally, but legally it's a mistake, is they did not give us a particular officer who was sitting. It's all become religious in this country. A particular officer who is sitting there does not give us a no objection certificate, even though we fulfill all the legalities for 4.5 years. Nothing happening. I said, go ahead and build. We had everything else, only one department we don't have, no objection. First, why the hell do you have an objection when I'm investing and building infrastructure for this country and for the people? What's your problem? But they have a problem. No objection certificate takes 4.5 years and they don't give an explanation why they have an objection. There is not a single reply. So I said, go ahead and build. So we built 2 buildings without that one no objection. Using that, they filed multiple cases on us. But now, the government has given us permission for that also. It's been regularized, they asked us to pay a penalty, we paid, and we regularized all that. There's not one illegal structure there, and we are not on the elephant corridor. Please get your facts checked properly.
Okay. One last question, the man in the blue
And
shirt
now that
right
you
in the
raise
front.
this question, I must finish this. Now that you raise this question and you charge me with this, if what you have said is not true, please go on the social media and say, I've been talking rubbish without knowing what are the facts. Yeah, it's not working. Give us
Mike.
the…
Is it… You say that leadership and especially entrepreneurship and enterprises is very much needed for the growth of this nation. So how important is it for the youth or a young individual to be a leader and having a bigger vision which is beyond just their own survival but which includes larger well-being and growth of humanity? And if someone takes such responsibility, how a person having such a vision make himself capable and competent and clear? Thank you.
See, in the development of a nation, today we have reached a point in the world where it is not the military prowess of a country, nor is it the political circus that goes on in a country, nor it is the activism and stuff that goes on in the country which decides the well-being of a nation. It is the success of the businesses which will determine the well-being of a nation, because we have decided to go market economy. Is it the best way to do things? I personally may not think so, but that's not the point. We've decided to go that way, we have to make it a success. That's all there is left to us. Every day we can't be rethinking which system to take on. We have to make it a success because we've chosen to be there. Now, for me to become a business leader or a social leader, what is it that I have to equip myself with? Well, that now famous inner engineering. That's the first thing you must do, because if you are not equipped to handle various uncertainties in life, if outside situations are going to determine what happens within you, then you should not enter into that kind of ventures, because life will freak the hell out of you. You must choose a safe job. If you are the kind who is going to be impacted by what's happening around you, then it is going to be very difficult for you to handle those kind of situations. So first thing in everybody's life, no matter what you're planning to do, in everybody's life, first thing is to enhance this life, then to act in the world. If you act in the world before you enhance this life, you will see, if you succeed, you will suffer, if you fail, you will suffer. Very important that you bring yourself to a state that your peacefulness, your joyfulness, the pleasantness of who you are is not determined by somebody else or something else. If you establish this one thing, you are equipped for life. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, we're done, we've exceeded by…
Uh,
about 1 hour 45
It's just the continuation of this question. It's not complete, the answer. Like, if you have done you said first step is inner engineering. If you have done it, I'm practicing since 3 years. So what is the second step? What is the exposure? What is the right kind of education and environment that is needed? First step I have heard many times. What is the second step? I want to equip myself with that.
That's a very personal question. We will deal with this personally.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, yeah, hi. Thank you, Sadhguru, for answering all questions. I think we exceeded the limit by around 1 hour, by at least 1.5 hours.
Oh.
So, thank you for, patiently answering all questions from, from all different people. And
Quite explosively, not patiently. Quite explosively, not
for patiently listening and explosively answering the questions. I hope the people in the audience, experienced an insightful lecture or an insightful conversation. And for individuals who could not otherwise ask, I think you have a social media page.
Yes.
So, you could send it there, but due to limitations of time, we can't ask any more questions. What we did try was that individuals from different groups and backgrounds could ask questions. So that was our purpose. So I think we're done. So, thank you a lot, Sadhguru.
Thank you very much.